using artificial intelligence to manage and operate artificial intelligence. I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Chad Steelberg, co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Veritone. Welcome, Chad.
Good morning.
What does Veritone do, and what prompted you to start the company?
So Veritone is the first public artificial intelligence company trading on the NASDAQ today. I founded the company with my brother in 2014, our fifth company together. And it was really based upon the explosion of unstructured audio and video-based content that's literally saturating all storage devices, both in the cloud and on the computer, that are completely opaque to classical computational analysis. What's required is an entirely new language to understand the unstructured data of humans. And that's primarily predicated on artificial intelligence. So we decided to build something very different versus a point solution to solve a specific task. We decided to build an operating system that could literally harness the power of nearly every AI algorithm on Earth and to be able to apply those algorithms to specific use cases in the enterprise. Today we service media and entertainment companies, public safety, as well as legal and compliance use cases.
Artificial intelligence is popping up everywhere. As AI connects more and more of the planet, what are some of the benefits that it can actually offer humans?
You know, from an end user perspective, we think about artificial intelligence in terms of humans in loops. You know, humans today live in many, many loops. In offices, we're completing tasks on a daily basis. And artificial intelligence is about moving that human from being in the loop to on the loop to eventually out of the loop. And that process is something that's a continuum. And artificial intelligence is that technology where a human in one of those loops performing some cognitive function is now able to use artificial intelligence to abdicate some of that control back to the machine. And that then puts the human in that on the loop function where they're supervising what the machine is actually doing. Eventually, the machine becomes good enough that we hope the humans can be removed entirely from some of the most mundane processes that we suffer from.
Use it or lose it. What skill, knowledge, and talent loss risks do we face allowing AI to take over more and more human activities?
You know, it's interesting. In all the use cases that we're conducting today, it's not so much of us replacing humans. It's rather us augmenting what humans are doing today at scale. For example, in the media and entertainment cases, can you imagine a human having to watch thousands and thousands of real-time television and audio feeds trying to find when some brand or logo is mentioned on the screen? It would literally be an astronomical cost and literally mind-numbingly boring for the human brain. What AIware now enables is us the capability to ingest live audio and video feeds from television, radio, CCTV cameras, literally body cams and dash cams from officers that can now be analyzed just like a human would. It can listen to the words that are being spoken. It can look and identify weapons. It can find logos on the broadcast screen and correlate and quantify the value for those advertisers and those constituencies in real time. Today, that is something which humans are not doing, and it literally transforms the industries that we're servicing.
How do we keep AI from invading our privacy and still allow it to reach its full potential?
You know, I get that question a lot about privacy, specifically from some of the big cloud providers. Our architecture, when I used to work at Google, which is a very different one, Google took a very monolithic approach to how they store data. All of the data lives inside of Google's world, and it really is Google's data at that point. When you look at a company like Salesforce, Salesforce created very discrete silos of organization where the data that was being ingested by that cloud service at Salesforce was still owned as well as only accessible by the client. With AIware, we've taken a very similar approach, where AIware is a cloud-based operating system for artificial intelligence services, but each instance, if you will, is segmented. So the customer that's ingesting and publishing that content still retains ownership and control of that data. So I am a big believer of kind of transparency in government. I think that what we're doing is truly going to unlock untold value by keeping that data owned by the specific agencies that have published it.
In your experience working with AI ethics and privacy, what questions are we still not asking to the appropriate degree?
You know, this morning I was just on a conversation with someone talking about artificial intelligence bias and specifically how that bias and AI would impact the college admissions program, given some of the scandals that we've seen lately. I think bias in the AI models themselves is a really fundamental challenge for the models and AI for the proliferation of it in industry. What Veritone pioneered is the ability to mitigate bias in artificial intelligence. Now, I'm going to geek out a little bit here for you. So what's happening with AI today, current generation, is you have basically an inverse correlation between the breadth of cognition you're trying to achieve and the actual accuracy that model can perform at. An example of this would be this. If I tried to train a model on every language on earth, Spanish, French, Greek, etc., the performance of that model would be somewhere in the 50 to 60% range, because the breadth of all those languages literally confuses the algorithms of today in terms of being able to understand it. But if I was able to partition that training data down to very specific languages, even down to specific dialects and even down to specific speakers around topics, and ran that same neural model, it would learn that process almost as well as a human. And so the challenge then becomes, now I have thousands of models. How do I choose when someone starts speaking which model to run? And that was the aha moment for Veritone and our AI operating system, aiWare. It literally performs that routing function using a neural network itself. So when someone starts to speak, given the hundreds of models, it's actually routing that information, that voice, to multiple models on the fly and arbitrating between those models to produce a transcript that outperforms any single model on earth. Now, so the fun part about that is it also mitigates bias. So with bias, when you have a single model, you can have training data that leans to one side or another. In certain situations, bias can actually be introduced to a model for nefarious reasons. For example, in a weapons situations for detecting tanks and satellite feeds, imagine someone who trained a model with putting X's on the back of a tank. So that when those X's are present, the tanks aren't present and recognized by the AI. In a real battle situation, all the enemy would have to do is put the X's on the back of their tanks and suddenly they become invisible to the advanced AI. When you use multiple models, however, that are coming from different training sets and different sources, those models are able to arbitrate between one another in more of a collective thought program and produce results, again, that are better than a single model and also mitigate bias.
Chad Steelberg, co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Veritone. Those are some really interesting examples. If somebody wants to know more about your work and find out what you're doing, how can they reach you?
I'm at LinkedIn at Chad Steelberg Veritone.
There you go. And if you guys want to find more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or go to my website, tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.